Hey y'all, welcome to another episode of a Holy Rush Revival. I'm Rob Smith, your host. That's Kip. It's early August in Mississippi, and it has been hot. Last episode, I asked a question: would you like for me to see me move forward with this Ford F100 '67 model, or the '67 Ford Mustang? And it was pretty much an overwhelming response to tinker on the old Ford F100 for a little while. Um, I would say about a 60-40 kind of response. There was a lot of hits for the Mustang. And look, ultimately that's going to get done, no doubt about it. Remember, this truck is one that I have had since I was 4 years old. I learned to drive in this truck. It took me through high school. It's just been a good old faithful truck for 45, 47 years of my life. Honestly, it's never been out of this area. My granddaddy, Nelson Smith, bought this truck in Meridian. It drove from Meridian, which is about 17 miles away, and it has spent all of its life here on this farm in Kemper County, Mississippi. I want to get her out. I want him to see the rest of the world just a little bit. And I don't know what road trip I've got planned. Got a few things cooking in my mind. But anyway, we've got about a month, maybe a month and a half, almost 2 months to where the leaves start changing here in Mississippi. And I got to get her ready. So today, I know it's going to be hot today, but this morning maybe I can get a little bit of time before I need to do some farm chores. The old F100 has been sitting up for a long time in the barn, and you know when something sits up, things go wrong. Well, what has gone wrong that I need to fix today are the brakes on the front. I have recently upgraded the brakes to 77 F100 brakes with disc brakes on there, and it is great. I've put powered brakes on it. It's got power front discs. And the brakes work wonderful. But when it sets up, here's what I think. I think the pads get a little rusty and they don't move on the caliper very well, and it kind of sort of sticks just a little bit. I headed to town the other day to put gas in the tank, and I could tell the truck was wanting to pull to the left. And when I let go of the steering wheel, of course the steering wheel would just turn and almost take me into the ditch. So that tells me that the driver's side caliper is locked up just a little bit. So what we're going to do this morning real quick is pull the wheel off. Let's look at the caliper and confirm what I'm talking about. If it's just a matter of pulling the caliper and scraping a little rust off and putting some brake grease on there, that'll be a great fix. So let's tear into the old truck a little bit this morning. Let's look at that. And I don't know what else we'll put in this video. We might get something else done this weekend, but let's just roll with it. Let's just go with it, okay? All right. God bless y'all. Thank you for watching, and let's get our hands dirty for just a little bit this morning.
Hey y'all, I'm sorry for interjecting here, but sometimes I never know what to say on my intro, because honestly, none of the content on this channel is scripted. It just is one of those things that just comes as it comes, and you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You know what I mean? But let me say, this video is turning out to be a very, very good troubleshooting video of brakes on an early Ford truck. But better than that is, sometimes your troubleshooting just isn't black and white like it needs to be. There are things that come up, there's information that comes up. And let me just say this, if you follow the video closely, you'll think, okay, he's got this wrapped in the bag and we're just going to throw a little grease on a caliper and we're going to be good. No, and a lot of my test drives that I take in this video also reveal conflicting information, which leaves me perplexed. So let me say this. Sometimes the best thing in troubleshooting is just to put everything down and sleep on it overnight. And that's what I did. Actually, before I left for the night on the video, I blew something up. Literally. And I'm not going to give it away. I blew something up, and that data would not let me slip. That data, I say data. The information I gained from that little experience woke me up at 3 o'clock in the morning and made me realize something. And again, I'm not going to spoil the video and tell you any more details other than just hang tight. It's a little bit long video, but the troubleshooting leads to something that's a bit of a strange twist in the end. Okay, enjoy.
Okay, y'all, if my predictions are correct, the front wheels should be kind of sort of dragging a little bit. And the left side should be dragging more than the right side. But I'm going to jack up the passenger right side of the truck, and let's give the tire a kick and see what happens. Should be spinning freely. Kind of has a little bit of a drag to it. It's free, but it's dragging some. You can tell the brake pads are sandwiched on the rotor just a little bit. Let me move you over to the driver's side and let's give it a kick. One of these days, guys, gonna have a lift. You know what I mean? I am planning on putting one in that new barn dominium I'm building up there, and hopefully we'll have air conditioning. That way we can just work until we drop. You know what I mean? Okay, again, the truck was pulling bad to the left when I drove it the other day, which should mean that this tire is probably going to be dragging a little bit more than the other side. Let's give it a kick. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Uh-huh. That one is dragging a whole lot more. Both of them are dragging, but this one is even worse. So that explains why it was wanting to pull off into the ditch and cross lanes on me the other day. I would have made it I got about 5 miles up the road and saw that something wasn't right, and I turned around and came home. If I'd attempted to go to town in this, I would have overheated those brakes really bad. So, next thing I need to do is pull this wheel off, and let's look at the pads and the rotors, see how much rust is in there.
Okay, pulled the wheel, and as you can see, the pads look good. Nice rotors on here, but I can't even turn it by hand once I took the wheel off. And if you look right in here, that's dry, that's rusty. That's where the caliper moves on the bracket. Kip, you ain't got a lot of sense, do you? Not a lot of sense. That's my dog. All right. There's rust in the pads here. I think the main culprit is right here, is where the caliper slides on this bracket. We've got some major rust right in here, and once the bracket engages, it's probably hanging tight right in that notch right there and keeping this outside pad grasped to the rotor. So let me get a few tools and pull this rotor off, the caliper, and let's confirm that we might have an issue here. We may have to get some sandpaper in here and get some grease on that so that caliper can move freely on that bracket. Okay, this is pretty solid right in here. I'm gonna put a little penetrating oil right in there, right in here. I have removed the bolt, and I think I need a Can you see that rust right in there? There's a good bit of rust on this bracket that the caliper slides on, so I'm already seeing signs of it. I don't know. Can you see how rusty that little bracket is now? And by the way, this is a bracket that holds the caliper a little tight so that you don't have a lot of rattling when you don't have the brakes depressed. And that is probably a very good reason why that bracket is frozen up, that caliper. Now, let's see if we can get it off. Whew. It's frozen pretty good. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Man. Look there, you can tell by that it's pretty much frozen onto the rotor. There we go. Yeah. It is really being stubborn. But let me pull you in here and show you something else. Can you see the rust right there too? So I've got rust underneath here, rust here. So I hope that a good cleaning up of all of this is gonna make it all right. My dog's having a conniption fit. I don't know what's going on. But, you know, I thought I wanted a dog that loved me. But is it possible to be loved too much by a dog? Yeah. Beginning to wonder that. Just a little bit. Okay. That brake pad doesn't look bad. Caliper itself doesn't look terrible. But I think I may get a little penetrating oil down in this seal. I don't think the pad got burned, but we need to get all up in here. I'm gonna cut the camera a minute. I'm gonna get some sandpaper and sand these places here. I'm gonna work on those places on the caliper and basically just clean everything up. You can see how well the rotor turns. So it has nothing to do with the bearings or the rotor itself. And honestly, these are relatively new lines. These are new lines. So I don't think these lines are bad. Now, sometimes there's potential for these lines to come apart on the inside and you can push pressure in, but pressure won't go back. I hope that's not the case here. I think our problem is primarily here. So let me get to working on this a little bit and I'll pull you back in. The worst place you can see the rust is on the bottom of this caliper. You can tell that was actually frozen up right there, just about completely. So I'm gonna get some good old sandpaper in here and work on that a good bit. Get it all shined up. And it's actually the same way on the top side. So these parts on the brackets are cleaned up. Let me take a little time and work in here and we'll put her back together and see if she works. So I'm going to install some of this brake and caliper grease on all of these points that are supposed to move, and hopefully this will help mitigate that rust in the future. So yeah, let's put a little bit on there. I hope it's still good. It's been sitting on my shelf a while. Yeah, it looks all right. Nice. Let's get up under there a little bit. So let's tighten this back up. Okay, we got the brakes back on, and what we'll do next is put the tire back on, cycle the brakes a little bit, and let's see if it lets go. If it does, then we have fixed a very cheap problem right here, and that's basically just getting the rust out of this caliper. If it doesn't fix it, then now we know we've either got a bad caliper and maybe the piston is rusted inside the chamber, or we've got a bad hose, one or the other. But, you know, this is always the best thing to check first, and with the amount of rust that I saw on these calipers, I just have to believe that that's what the problem was. So that is nice and loose. Let me cut the camera. Let's get the tire back on, cycle the brakes once or twice, and see if it's going to let go. As you can see, it's spinning freely. That's what we want. But I haven't cycled the brakes yet. So I want to explain what I'm going to do. I'm going to go in, I'm going to crank the truck up, cycle the brakes, and hopefully that caliper is going to move and let the brake pads go. But I wanted to explain that because I'm about to crank the truck and it's going to be a little loud. So I'm going to press the brakes a couple of times. I'll get the wheel spinning good so you can see it stop. So make sure our brakes are working, and then when I come back out here and kick it after cycling the brakes, it may not turn as smooth or as much as it is right here, but it should be a lot freer than it was. So let's see what happens. Still pretty stiff. Might be that our piston in the caliper is sticking. I think I need to drop it down off the jack. Let's go take it for a test drive and see if actually driving it won't loosen that piston up a little bit. I do think that other was an issue because there was so much rust in there that caliper couldn't move. But maybe the rotor can free that piston up a little bit now that the caliper can move. Is it okay if y'all take a test drive with me? Okay, come on. Gotta love the old 3 on the tree, right? Love it. Well, I'll be honest with you, it doesn't feel like it's pulling as bad. I hadn't really gotten on the road yet, but it feels better when I press the clutch in. The truck doesn't come to a more rigid stop like it did before. Let's get a little speed. Oh, you're talking about some good brakes. Woo! I didn't have that back in high school. Back in high school, I just had to kind of plan my stops very well. Okay, get out here on the pavement, and my dog won't get out of the way. There we go. Okay, it was pulling bad to the left. Now, when I hit the brakes, it just pulled to the right that time. You probably heard the right wheel lock up because I haven't messed with that side over there yet. Now the left side seemed to do fine. Did y'all see the steering wheel pull to the right? Before it was pulling to the left really bad. I am going to run over that dog. Just won't get out of my way. Yeah. I got to hold on to it now to keep it from going to the right. So I think we have fixed some of that problem. Woo. Yeah. Wants to put me in the right ditch now. Okay. Well, let's turn around. My dog is following me every bit of the way. I didn't put him in here because he would have been all up in your face. But I don't know how far that dog would follow me. I think forever. Well, it does feel better, that's for sure. Even before, when I was driving, it wanted to pull to the left really bad. Tire is still locking up. Left tire that we worked on is doing fine. So I really think fixing the caliper is one thing, and then us working the brakes and getting those pistons loosened up in the calipers is another thing. So I think we're going to be able to fix this problem without any expense at all. Alright, I'm going to pull back in the shop, and let's put this driver wheel back up on the jacks and see if it's loosened up a little bit. Okay, got the old bad boy back in the shop, and I threw the jack under there and wanted to see if this tire was spinning a little more freely. Unfortunately, it's not. That's a little bit tighter than I desire it to be, and honestly, there's a lot of heat coming from that, from just a little bit of driving that I did. And look, that's okay. Sometimes these situations is all about troubleshooting. My next thought is that the piston itself, or maybe there's gotten rust
inside the caliper around the piston that pushes the brake pad out. Now, to confirm that thought, I'm going to get under there and I'm going to open up the bleeder screw, and then hopefully that'll let fluid pressure off, and what that will do is it'll eliminate whether it's up in the line, because the line could be collapsed, the brake line, and not letting the fluid go back. So if I open up the bleeder screw, that will eliminate that as a possibility. And if I open the bleeder screw and it is still stiff, that means we have a problem with our piston on our caliper. Okay, so let me go find a wrench, get under here, take that bleeder screw loose, and if it spins freely, we will know what the problem is. If it does not spin freely, we'll know what the problem is there too, and we're going to have to replace that caliper. Broke the bleeder screw and got a little bit of the brake fluid pressure off of the line, and it's still wanting to drag a little bit. So I don't think we have a problem with the line. Don't think we have a problem with the master cylinder. I think we just have a sticky piston in our caliper. So I'm kind of at the crossroads about what to do. Let me close this bleeder screw back up before I get air in the system. I think I'm going to do the other side and get it all rust free, because my test drive is what's got me perplexed. Remember, I told you before it was pulling to the left, now it pulls to the right and acting like I've got rust in my caliper over there. And one of these calipers I replaced, I don't know, about a year ago, because it was doing this very same thing, and that fixed it. So I think it might have been that one over there. Let me go over there and check, and I'm going to rinse and repeat what I did on this side, or what I've done on this side rather. And it might be that we just need to run it a little bit. It might be that those pistons will free up the more I kind of engage and run it. I shot a little penetrating oil past the seal on this piston, hopefully that it will free up some rust on that piston. So let's, before we start throwing some money at some parts, let's do the other side, because there was no doubt in my mind that that rust was an issue, and it improved my test drive. So if I can get it to run straight down the road without pulling to the right by getting the rust off that side, I'm almost a good mind to try to run it to town and see if we can't get our parts moving freely. Okay, I wanted to bring you back in before I button this whole side back up. Get out of the way, aggravating. That is a new caliper. You can tell by the coloration on this side versus the other. That's why this side wasn't as bad, because I remember about, I don't know, 3 or 4 years ago, this side was locking up, and I just replaced that caliper and got it done. I may end up having to do that on the other side, and honestly I should have done it when I replaced this one. Whenever you replace one, it's always a good idea to do both of them. But anyway, you know what's wrong with this whole scenario, don't you? I rebuilt that whole front end, and by the way, that's a complete front end out of a 1977 F150, or 100 rather, in this 67 F100. Those parts are completely interchangeable and everything bolted up perfectly. I do think that I had to get that bracket, that brake bracket for the hose, from the donor truck as well. So if you are thinking about this, just rip the whole front end out, but don't forget to get those brackets, and they are actually bolted on, as you can see. So it's got all brand new bushings in the control arms. The kingpins, I actually had those brand new and had them honed out and machined, so the kingpins are perfect in the front end. So other than the brakes, the front end is ready to go on a road trip. So as you can see right now, it turns very freely, but I haven't worked the brakes yet. But back to what I was saying, I did this whole front end about 10 years ago, 8 to 10 years ago, and
I think I have put 500 miles on this truck since I have done that front end. So that's what the problem is. I'm just not running her enough. And when you let one sit up and don't put any miles on it, the parts can't move and work. And that's what's wrong with these old calipers, is they sit up too much and they get rust in them. So I think my next step is this. I'm going to put this tire on and we're going to send it. We're going to take off to town. How does that sound? We might make it, we might not. If we don't, we'll just, well, I need to be careful because my trailer, you can't see it from here, my trailer is over here with a broken U-bolt on the axle. So that's another thing on the list of the things to do today, is to fix that. All right, so let me put this tire on and we may send this thing down the road and see what happens. Hey, can you see me? I'm trying to put you in a position for us to go on a road trip where I can actually have my dog in here, not run over it, and where maybe you can see a little bit better too. So here we go. Let's go down the road a little bit further and a little faster and see where the brakes are after we've worked on both sides. It's about 9:30 in the morning. It's getting hot outside, y'all. This might be it for the tinkering in the shop today while I go do some farm chores and cool off a little bit. So here we go. Let's go for a road trip. Load up. Load up. All right, move over. Move over. Stay on your side. Stay on your side. Okay. Let us see if we did anything to these old brakes. Kip, I think it just needs running. Do you mind running with me? You don't, do you? That's what you live for, isn't it? Okay. All right. It feels good so far. I got our air conditioning on, you know, our little vent windows. Go stick your head out of the window or something. You're making me hot over here. Making me hot. You know, back in high school when I drove this truck, I didn't have a lick of air conditioning, and I didn't know that I needed air conditioning. I didn't care. I had a truck, man. I could go. Young fella didn't care if he had air conditioning or not. These little old vent windows in this thing, man, they really make a big difference. Until a bumblebee gets caught up in one of them and ends up in your lap, in your crotch. That doesn't feel good, Kip. Go stick your head out your window there. You're getting in people's way. I love you, but you ain't got to be on top of me. Okay, remember it was pulling a little bit to the left a while ago. The left brake is pulling again. Can y'all see that? All right, I'm gonna let go of the steering wheel, and it's pulling really bad to the left again. Let's work those brakes a little bit. Kip, you just might have to hold on, son. You might have to hold on. I'm gonna work that piston in and out some. I just want to pull really bad now. You might ought to just get in the floor. Let me just sit here and work that piston in and out. Because the last thing I want to happen is have brakes lock up on a road trip. I don't know, that stopped pretty straight that time. Look at the turkey. Do you see the turkey? Where there's one turkey, there's probably another. yep, there's the other one. See the turkey? It's about to go across the road. There it goes. I hope you didn't block their view of seeing that turkey. I don't know. I think it's sticking every now and then. Again, it might just need running. Let's run it a little bit, Kip. Let's go down to the other side of the place and back. Hold the steering wheel. Woo! Look how bad that pulls. That's not good. That's not good at all. It's not letting go very well. There you some crows to chase. Yep. Get down. Smelling kind of bad. You don't have the ability to smell what I smell. It's pulling bad. Look how bad it's pulling. The more I run it and the hotter it gets. I'm guessing that piston is expanding. I can't even let go of the steering wheel. It's almost locked up completely. Might be catching on fire down there, Kip. I don't want to mess my rotor up. I think we need to pull over up here at the campground and look. Let's get in the shade up here because I'm smelling it really bad. Might just need to shut her off and let her cool down a little bit. It smells like a barbecue. Okay. Let's see what's going on out here. Oh, man. Do you see it? Yeah. And that is smoking hot. Let me get you in here and let you hear the sizzling. You hear it, don't you? There's a little snap, crackle, pop going on. And some smoke. I don't think it would be wise to stick my hand in there right now. Let's check on this side. Remember, this is the side with the new caliper. And there's no heat whatsoever over here. No heat. So, well, what are we going to have to do? Replace the caliper. We're just going to let her rest right here a minute. We'll walk over to the barn. I've got a project I need to finish up over there. Putting some lumber on a trailer. So, it's a pretty day just to let the old 67 just rest right there a little while. Okay. Well, so much for doing farm work. Excuse me. trying to stay cool and oh, I'm sorry, I can't hardly talk. I got so much dust. Oh my goodness, it is hot and dry in Mississippi. My teeth are gritty. I shouldn't have to eat supper tonight because I've eaten so much dirt today. And honestly, I'm not hungry. Oh man, I'm just watching that sun go down because the weatherman has promised us a really good night tonight. And yeah, mid 60s. We're gonna get back in the shop and do something. And I gotta eat a little more dirt though before we get there. And old Kip, I guess for 2 hours now, he has followed and eaten the same amount of dirt as I have eaten on this lawnmower. I think I'm gonna have to take a pre-shower before I get in the actual shower and mess it up. Good gracious, look at all this dirt on me. That's just the way it is. That's how the farm life rolls. All right, let's get it cooled off so we can work in the shop a little more. Oh, I've got the caliper off the driver's side, and I could just take it to the parts store, but you know, if something's broken, there's some way that I can see it broke. I kind of want to do that. And honestly, this is something I probably shouldn't show you, and probably something you should not do. But I'm gonna kick that piston out of there. I'm gonna put a little air pressure where the brake fluid goes in and pop that piston out of the hole. First of all, I want to see if it's really stuck. Secondly, if it comes out, I want to see if there's rust around that ring. So look, by the way, if you do this, make sure that when you're putting air in this hole that your fingers aren't out here, because this piston is going to come flying out of that hole, and if you have fingers or anything there, it would break them. Okay, it's a lot of force and a lot of pressure on that piston when it comes out, and I'm probably going to make a mess, so I may get some paper towels. Let me go ahead and do that and put up underneath. Okay, are you ready for some action? I hope it has action. The best thing to do is not put your full bit of air on this thing. I'm just going to kind of blow a little in, but not seal it off tight. Let me zoom you in where you can see just a little better. Yeah, that piston's stuck. I'm putting a lot of pressure on that, and it moved a little bit. It's coming, it's coming. But see, the thing is, if it's sticky, it won't come back, and that's what's causing the brakes to what'd I tell y'all? that could have been a pretty bad accident. But we're good. We're good. Let me back you out a little bit. I'm glad it didn't hit you. Okay, so I think we have confirmed that the piston was stuck, because when it let go, it let go. You see that little bit of rust around there? So that means there's rust in the caliper. And I'm telling you, when that thing came out, it broke. That thing came out with a lot of force and pressure, didn't it?
So it doesn't look that bad in there, but there's a ring. Actually, the seal itself looks like it might have had some rust in it. I'm not sure that that's even metal. That's some kind of composite material. But anyway, we don't need to spend much time on this. We know that it was stuck, and a replacement is only $33, but I've got to take the core in. So yeah, I'm gonna load that up in my Jeep, and after church tomorrow I'll pick up a new one and we'll slap it on, and I think we're gonna be golden after that. Okay, well, it's 9 o'clock. It does feel good in the shop tonight, but y'all, I have worked my tail off today, and as good as it feels outside, I think I'm fixing to load this caliper up and load myself up and get home and get into bed. Got to teach Sunday school in the morning, and I need to be fresh. A lot of times I'm not, because I do have shop nights on Saturday night, but I got to give my Lord the first priority. You know what I mean? Well, look, I need to do something that I've been failing to do in the last couple of episodes, and that is to give a shout out to Tristan, my nephew. He is my biggest fan, and I understand this past week he did a binge watch on all of my videos, and if he watched all of them, that was 70 videos. So thank you, Tristan, for watching. I appreciate it. This channel is for you, by the way, buddy. So Uncle Rob loves you. All right. Well, y'all, I don't know if I'm going to end the video here, because we know what the problem is, and the new caliper is just a matter of slapping a new one on and putting the wheel back on and taking off. If I get a chance tomorrow to cut the camera on, I'll let you see if it really fixed it. Okay? All right, y'all. Good night.
Hey, before we call it a night, I need to show you something. We have successfully worn a blue heeler out today. Have you ever seen a blue heeler so still and quiet? That dog has walked 5 miles, well, probably 10 to 15 miles if you count all the auxiliary walking, and he is worn out. It is a good day when a blue heeler is worn out. That means we have done something. Look at that. I've never seen him that still. Kip, are you okay? Buddy? Buddy? Look at those eyes. Yeah, we're talking about you. We're talking about you, Bubs. I appreciate all your help today. I really do. You have taken every step that I have taken, and this is the reason I'm loading myself up and going home, because we both are tuckered out. All right, good night.
Hey, y'all. It's Sunday afternoon, the day after we started working on the old F100, and I had an epiphany overnight. I don't know about you, but I do my best thinking in the middle of the night. For some strange reason, I'll wake up at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning and things just hit my mind, and clarity is just so much better. And honestly, I went to sleep last night not really fully satisfied with the way this whole thing had turned out and the actual explanation for what had happened. But let me rewind. Today I went to the parts store to take the caliper back, and I asked the person working behind the counter if my part was under warranty. Sure enough, I found out that it was. I purchased those calipers in 2016. That's what, 7 years ago? And the last one failed about a year ago. This one has failed now. So I'm getting about 6 to 7 years out of those calipers. And look, I know car parts aren't like what they used to be, but you should expect to get more than 6 or 7 years out of a caliper.
So my mind got to thinking, then I got to Googling and researching things. And you remember when that piston popped out yesterday, a little piece of it broke off, and I said that I didn't think that was a metal piston. Well, sure enough, it was not. It's phlenoic resin, however you say that. Bottom line is, it is not metal. And the positive part, and Ford used this a lot on Ford Rangers and had started using them in a lot of their trucks. The positive thing is that resin does not transfer heat to the fluid like a metal piston does. So that's a good thing. Secondly, it's easier to manufacture, okay? But here's, in my little bit of research, what I found is that over a couple of years, the brake fluid begins to impregnate that resin and makes it swell and expand. So the problem that I was having with it sticking every now and then was the fact that that piston had come out of tolerance just a little bit because of the fluid that was getting into it. Now, I can't confirm what I'm about to tell you, but it's somebody's opinion that I read online, and you know, you have to be careful about people's opinions. But it kind of made sense because you see a lot of vehicles now using DOT4 brake fluid, and in these old trucks, the only thing we've ever dumped in them was DOT3. I understand that DOT4 absorbs water a little bit faster than DOT3 in the system itself, but DOT4 has a higher flash point or whatever the case is, so it can handle heat a whole lot better. But could it be that the chemicals that make up DOT4 are needed for that phlenoic resin to keep the DOT3 fluid from impregnating it? I don't know. I'm still doing some research on that, and maybe some of you can shed light on that experience. But regardless, I went to the counter and I told the lady, I said, I would really like to have calipers with metal pistons. And when she looked it up, she said, well, it will take 2 weeks for us to get those to you, and it'll be an extra $20 on top of the $33 I was already going to pay. I said, well, I don't know if I want to do that. And then she told me that my calipers were under full lifetime warranty. So I said, what the heck? Just go get me a caliper out of the back. Maybe I'll get another 6 years out of it, and I'll probably have to do this again, but they're under lifetime warranty. Well, guess what? She went and pulled a caliper off the shelf. And this is a heavy caliper, by the way. Does that look like resin to you? No, it's got a metal piston in it. And I can tell it's metal because it's got machine markings on it where it was chucked up in a machine and actually machined out. So I got 2 new calipers under warranty with metal pistons in them. So that should last for a long, long time. So lesson learned is this. Sometimes you got to blow something up to learn something. You remember me blowing that piston up last night? If I had not done that, I never would have let it register in my mind that that piston was made of some kind of resin and not metal. I would have just thought it was painted metal in there. So sometimes it's good to take something apart to explore and experiment with why something went wrong. Because if you don't know why something went wrong, you may just keep repeating that over and over again instead of actually fixing the problem. So it is hot. It's Sunday afternoon. I got to go to church in about 2 to 3 hours. We got a great, awesome August revival going on, and doggone sweat is getting in my eyes. So let me throw this caliper on, and let me bleed the brakes, and then I'm gonna put it up on a jack, and let's see if the tire releases like it should. We may not have time to do a test drive, and quite frankly, my weekend is coming to a close, but I think we will be able to put this caliper on and tell right away whether or not it's going to work. All right, hang tight. I'll be back with you. Okay, y'all. I've decided that you deserve a test drive. So what I've done is I've put the left caliper on for the sake of time. I did not put the right one on because I wanted to take y'all on the final ride so we can close this weekend out. So here we go. Let's... Alright, she's starting up cold. Oh, but she starts so good. Okay. Pedal feels pretty good. I might have a little air in the line. I got it out best I could. Okay, feels good. Seem to be pulling one way or the other. Let me get on a straight road. Alright, straight shot. No pulling. It's driving straight. Let's brake. Woo! Did y'all see that? I hit the brakes without touching the steering wheel. Hands-free. It pulled slightly to the right, but remember, I haven't replaced that caliper over there yet. One more time. Well, did you hear it? The right tire locked up. And again, that's that old caliper on there with that plastic piston in it. This one seems loose as a goose over here. All right, I'm about to hit a major road, so let me invite Kip in the truck. I know it's going to be worrisome, but come on, load up. Here we go. Here we go. All right, let's go to the other side of the place like we attempted to do yesterday, and let's see if that brake heats up. Oh my goodness. Kip. No. I interrupted my dog right in the middle of him using number 2. And he's got number 2 hanging off his rear end. Kip. Doggone it. Go. Getting poo-poo all over my seat. Excuse me, y'all. We need to get out and wipe our bottom. I told you, you never know what you're going to get on these videos. Go wipe your bottom off, son. Oh, he wasn't finished. He must be a little constipated. Are you done, my friend? Hey, come here. Come here. You got anything? Okay. Okay, it's all get back in the truck. Come on, get back in. Load up. Load up. This is the second time in this video that I've had to apologize for Kip. First time he blocked the turkey so y'all couldn't see him. Now he didn't wipe his bottom very well. Oh, but you gotta love a dog, right? You gotta love a dog because you know what? They love you unconditionally. I promise you. I bet if I had something hanging from my rear end, he would still associate with me as well. Okay, y'all, it's feeling good. I feel no hesitation in the brake whatsoever. I think that resin piston in the right is grabbing just a little bit stronger than the metal. And that's causing it to veer off. That's why you should never just replace one caliper at a time. You need to do both of them so you can make sure you have the same materials. Okay, we're going to make a about another mile run. I'm about to run out of gas. So, boy, that'd be a way for the devil to get in the way you going to church, wouldn't it? Okay, folks. Thank you for enduring that test drive with me. Ooh, that's hot. Black truck in the sun's not good. I want to do one more thing before we close this video out. And I want to put it up on the jack and spin the tire and see if it's any looser than it was before. I don't expect it to just roll freely, but I do expect it to have a little bit of resistance to it, but not be hard to turn. So let's see. Again, there's no smoke after our test drive like it was yesterday. That is much freer than it was before. That's actually pretty normal right there. And honestly, it will get looser as that caliper kind of works its way on that bracket and those pads work themselves in. It'll get a lot looser over time. At least now I know that piston is backing off. So, look, I know this was a long video and it turned out a lot longer than I anticipated because I wasn't expecting this project to take so long. But it's like most every other thing I get into, and my wife always says that when I say I've got about a 30-minute project, it really means 3-hour project. And that's pretty much the way this one has turned out. But I can sleep this weekend knowing that my brakes are fixed and are working on my old F100, and we can mark that off the list. Speaking of lists, I'm going to start making a knockout list for this thing this week, and the next thing I'm going to do on it is a pretty big deal, and I'll say it's back there in the bed. I won't spoil the surprise. Okay, y'all, what did we learn? Well, resin pistons, you can be the determination of whether that's something you want to do or continue to do in your vehicles. Personally, I'm going to stick with the metal pistons. That swelling up is something I can't predict, and I want something that's a little more predictable. Even though those metal ones are heavier, they're probably harder to manufacture, they probably cost a little more, I think they're well worth it. Bottom line is, though, I need to run my truck more. I don't need to let it sit in the barn. We're going to fix this thing up, and I'm going to start driving it a good bit more. Probably more in the wintertime than the summertime. She might get a break in the summer. Unless I put air conditioning in it. That might be something we do in the future. Okay, y'all, God bless. Look, I want you to know, you probably need to hear this today, that Jesus loves you, okay? Jesus loves you, I love you, and we're sojourners here on this earth together. That was our Sunday school lesson this morning. And we're working toward a common goal, and that's to give God the glory. So let's be doing that this week. Let's love God, and let's see people through the eyes of Jesus. All right, God bless y'all. Have a great time, great evening, great week, great day, whatever the case may be, and we'll see you next time.